Good morning, boys and girls. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good morning. You may be seated. I'm glad you're here today. Happy Thursday. Let's go ahead and take a look at our calendar. We are still in the month of October. Let's practice spelling the word October. October is the name of the month, so it always gets a capital O. C-T-O-B-E-R. Very good. October is the 10th month of the year. So sometimes you'll see grown-ups write it with a 10. Yesterday was Wednesday, excuse me, October 7th, 2020. So that means today is October 8th. Is it going to be an orange pumpkin or a yellow pumpkin? If it's an orange pumpkin, signal me with the letter O. If it's a yellow pumpkin, signal me with the letter Y. All right, did you say orange pumpkin? You're correct. Orange pumpkin comes next in our pattern. Remember, we have an AAB pattern, so we have 2 orange pumpkins today. All right, I added a couple more dates. My class, remember, there's no school next Monday for students. Teachers are going to be in school. Then we have Lila's birthday is coming up. We'll celebrate it on Friday, but her real birthday is on Saturday, October 24th. And then the last week before Halloween is going to be such a busy, fun week. We have 2 assemblies. We are going to be celebrating Red Ribbon Week. We're going to talk more about healthy choices for our body. And we're actually going to have a little class party. So kindergartners and first graders, the day before Halloween, we're going to do one big class Zoom. And I have bingo for us, freeze dance, and we'll do a craft together on Zoom. And you can wear your costume. And then Saturday, October 31st is Halloween. Let's take a look at the weather. The weather at my house. Oops, tripping over cords. It was very foggy when I woke up, and by now it's actually sunny. So I'm going to move it kind of to partly cloudy because I see a lot of sun coming up, and I think there's still a few clouds in the sky. I think they'll probably be all clear in a little bit, and it's cool. Yeah, the weather is starting to get a little bit cooler, which is nice. It's good. Now the weather is changing, but remember, boys and girls, the season isn't changing. The season won't change until December. So we are in the season of fall. Very good. And first graders, we did the all word family yesterday. And so it's kind of tricky because here the A is making the short O sound, but it's spelled with an A. All right, how many days have we been in school? Yesterday was the 33rd day of school. So today we're going to add on one more number. So I'm going to take down the 3, and I am going to be looking for what numeral am I looking for? That's right, I'm looking for the 4. We're just adding one more. 34 is 1 greater than 33. So I'm going to put the 4 right here in the 1's place. And I'll take one more stick and put it in the 1's place. And let's practice counting together. So I have 3 groups of 10, so I'm going to count by 10s. 10. Remember, do this with me, boys and girls. 20. 30. Very good. Now let's count our 1s. 31, 32, 33, 34. Very good. And in a complete sentence, we would say, we have been in school for 34 days. Okay, here's our question of the day. It says, how many 10s can you take away from today's number? What number do you get? So we have the number, this is a tricky one. We have the number 34. Okay, we're not going to go into negative numbers. If I took away one group of 10, I would have 24. If I took away 2 groups of 10, I'd have 14. But what if I took away 3 groups of 10? What number would I be left with? Show me on your fingers. My throat this morning. So if I took away all 3 10s, I would be left with the number 4. Very good. So I can also say the opposite. If 34 minus 30 is equal to 4, then I can say that 4 plus 30 is equal to 34. Remember, math is all about patterns and relationships. If we can understand how things are related, we can figure anything out. So addition and subtraction are definitely related. Good. 34 days in school. So to answer our question, I can take away 3 10s and I would get the number 4. Very good, boys and girls. Okay, let's, we don't have a morning message yet. We're gonna talk about the life cycle of a pumpkin. So we've been talking about this with my kindergartners. First graders, you might remember this from last year if you're able to visit a pumpkin patch or to get a pumpkin. Next week, we're going to be doing some pumpkin, not an experiment, pumpkin observation, or I think it's called a pumpkin investigation. So if you can find a pumpkin, that would be great. We would need it next week. So let's take a look at the chart real quick, and I need your help with the pumpkin life cycle. So remember, life cycle means circle. All living things grow and change. Humans grow and change, puppies grow and change, plants, fruits, vegetables, anything that is alive goes through a life cycle. We're not going to be the same today as we were 10 days ago. Everything is growing. So how do pumpkins grow? That's our question. What comes first? Do you remember? Very good. All fruit comes from seeds. Well, all plants come from seeds, but inside the pumpkin, if you were to cut it open, you would see lots of flesh and you would see seeds. And we can plant those seeds to make new pumpkins. So first we're going to start with the seeds. And remember, cycle is very similar to the word circle. It doesn't end. It's just going to keep repeating. So first we have the seeds. Then what comes next? After we plant the seeds, what do we see in the ground? Do we see a pumpkin right away? No, of course not. We see a sprout. So after we plant the seeds, in about a week, we'll hopefully see a little sprout. Very good. So the sprout is just those first few leaves that grow, and it's always green. That means that the plant is making its own food. So we have the green sprout. Good. And then after the sprout is watered and gets lots of sunlight, it's going to grow really big, and it's going to start to grow into a vine. So the vine is that long, skinny thing, and it's actually kind of pokey if you were to touch it, and it has lots of leaves on it. So that's the plant. Pumpkins grow on a vine. Good, I'm going to put that one next, right here. And then once the vine gets really big, you're going to start to see a bright yellow flower. And the bright yellow flower helps attract lots of bees so that the pumpkin can start to grow. So after we have the pumpkin, the vine, and we have the leaves, and then the flower grows, do you know what color pumpkin comes next? It's not an orange pumpkin. All pumpkins start out green. They all start green. And they're green to tell other animals in nature, hey, I'm not done growing, don't eat me yet. Because if you try to cut open a green pumpkin, you won't see very many seeds. And the pumpkin actually wants you to spread its seeds. It wants an animal to eat the seeds. It wants humans to plant the seeds. So if you try to cut it open and it's not ripe yet, the seeds, if there are seeds, they might not grow, or you won't see a lot of them. So it's green to say, don't eat me yet. Don't, I'm not ripe. But then after a while, the green pumpkin gets bigger, bigger, and bigger. And the vine isn't going to be green anymore. The vine is going to actually turn brown. It's going to die. And then the pumpkin will be orange, or sometimes yellow, or even red, or even white, actually. And now this pumpkin is ready to be eaten. It's ready to be picked. We call that ripe. Okay? And then if we were to cut this bright orange pumpkin, we would see lots of seeds. Okay? So it's really important, boys and girls, to understand life cycles. We're going to talk a lot about how plants and animals grow and change, okay? Great job on your life cycle. Kindergartners, great job uploading your life cycle project to Seesaw yesterday. Now it's time for our morning message, okay? All right, the date is October 8th, 2020. Good morning. I see 4 bats and 6 ghosts in a haunted house. How many more ghosts are there than bats? Okay, so we have a math problem this morning. First thing we need to do is figure out what is the problem asking. Because guess what? A lot of times kids are going to do this. 4 and 6, 10. I'm done. Mom, I'm done. Dad, I'm all done. 4 and 6 is 10. This is so easy. Okay, but that's not what the question's asking, right? The question is asking us how many more ghosts are there than bats? So am I adding the ghosts together? No. Do we have any ghosts or bats leaving? No. Are we comparing the number of bats to the number of ghosts? Yes. We know that we don't have an equal number, right? There's 4 bats and 6 ghosts. So I know that 6 is greater than 4. But how much greater? Yes, some of you can do that in your mind, and that's great. Some of us need to write out an equation. So whenever we're comparing, we can either add or we can subtract. I'm going to show you both ways. So if we want to add, we're going to start from the smaller number and count on to get to the greater number. So we can put 4 in our head and count on to get 6. Let's count on and find out how many more ghosts than bats. So 4, 5, 6. So I can say that there are 2 more ghosts than bats because 4 plus 2 is equal to 6. Or I can use subtraction. I can start from 6 and I can count backwards to 4. So I can start from 6, 5, 4. So 6 minus 2 equals 4. Or with subtraction, remember the answer to a subtraction problem is called the difference. So to find the difference between the number of bats and ghosts, I can subtract. 6 ghosts minus 4 bats would also get me 2. Lots and lots of ways to solve this math problem. So boys and girls, what I want you to do though, even if the numbers look easy, even if you think you know what the answer is, slow down and make sure that you understand what the question is asking. Lots of kiddos get their math problems wrong, not because they don't understand the concept, but because they're not reading and answering the right question, okay? All right, so today I have another book. Remember yesterday we read Inside a House That's Haunted, and we made a prediction, and we found out, I love this book, that on this one, remember the Frankenstein or the monster opened the door, and he got scared of the little boy in the costume. So we kind of thought all these things were scary, skeletons and bats and ghosts, but actually those scary things thought the little boy, when he took his mask off, that he was scared. So they all ran out of the house. Okay, so I have another book today that's similar. This one is called Scaredy Cat Splat, and it's another fiction book, right? This is nothing in this book could really happen in real life. This is another fiction book, and we're going to be making text-to-text connections, right? That's what good readers do. They read 2 or more things, and they think about what's the same and what's different. So sometimes teachers will call that compare and contrast. I call it a text-to-text connection. Okay, so let's read Scaredy Cat Splat, written by Rob Scotton. Scaredy Cat Splat. Mom! Cried Splat. There's a scary spider on my jack-o'-lantern. He's small and hairy with really funny eyes. Splat's voice wobbled with worry. What great descriptive language. But you're small and hairy with really funny eyes, said his mom. So again, right away, the cat is scared of the spider, but the spider is also scared of the cat, which is very similar if I think about the end of this book, where the characters, the scary characters were afraid of the not so scary little boy, right? So sometimes we're scared of something and that thing is more afraid of us. So I can make a text-to-text connection because in both books they have things that are scared of something else. Okay, let's keep reading, boys and girls. Splat thought for a moment. "But I haven't gotten 8 legs," he replied. "If you had, maybe you'd be a scary spider too," teased his mom. Splat made a scary spider face. Let's see your scary spider face. Arrgh, got it. Splat's mom caught the spider under a glass jar. Splat looked closely at the spider. Didn't look so scary now that it was trapped. But that's not nice to do. We shouldn't trap nature. "Can I take the spider to school for Halloween?" asked Splat. "We've all made jack-o'-lanterns, and everyone is dressing up in costumes. And Mrs. Wimpy Dimple is going to tell a ghost story, and there's a prize for the scariest cat. And I want to be the scariest cat. Please, can I take my spider to school? P-L-E-A-S-E, please," he added without taking a breath. "Okay," said his mom. "Where's your Halloween costume?" asked his mom. Splat pulled a broom from the closet and sat astride it. "Aha! Look at me! I'm a scary witch's cat!" cried Splat, racing around the kitchen. "You certainly are scary," said his mom. Then disaster struck. Splat tripped over his tail, and with a crack, the broom handle snapped in two. "Now I've got nothing to wear," Splat groaned. Even Seymour couldn't console him. Oh, console, what a good word. Console means to help make someone feel better. Splat's mom had an idea. She stuffed some old socks with scrunched up newspaper and tied them to Splat with string. "There," she said. Splat looked in the mirror and jumped back with a squeal. Oh, I scared myself," he said. He looked again, and this time he smiled. "Look at me," he cried, waving his sock legs. "I'm a big, scary spider." Is he that scary? No, it reminds me of this book, right? So the little boy at the end, remember, he was just wearing a mask and a costume. He wasn't very scary. So sometimes we have that perception that something is scary when it's not. So both books have characters who think they're scary, but they really aren't. Splat placed his jack-o'-lantern and spider on his wagon and set off to school. On the way, he met Spike, dressed as a mummy, and Plank, dressed as a skeleton. Wait, we had these same characters in this book. Another text-to-text connection, right? So here we have the skeleton and a mummy. So both books have people, or creatures, dressed up as a skeleton and a mummy. That's another text-to-text connection. That's something that's the same. "They're pretty scary," said Splat. Seymour nodded. "Ooh," and trembled a little bit. "Tremble for me." "But I'm scarier," said Splat. Splat made his scariest spider face and growled. Wait, do spiders growl? I guess this one does. Okay, let's see your spider face and growl. Arrgh! I don't think spiders growl. Spike and Plank didn't even blink. Instead, what do you think they're gonna do instead of getting afraid? "Boo!" cried Spike. "Boo!" cried Plank. Oh no! Then they tried to scare them, and this reminds me in this book. Remember who said boo in this book? It wasn't the mummy or the skeleton, it was the ghost, remember? Let's go back to the ghost page, right? So the ghost yelled boo. But that's still a connection, right? Splat yelped and jumped high in the air and landed in a heap. "Oh," sighed Splat. "Spike and Plank are both scarier than me." Seymour nodded and trembled a little bit more. "I'll never win a prize for scariest cat." How's he feeling? Yeah, he's feeling disappointed. He's feeling frustrated. Have you ever, signal me too if you've ever felt like that. Where you try really hard to do something and it just doesn't work out the way you want. That's a hard feeling. The sock spider, the skeleton, and the mummy continued their way to school. Get it? And they're going to cat school because they're all cats. In class, everyone showed their jack-o'-lanterns. Splat's jack-o'-lantern made everyone laugh. Ah! Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Splat is not excited. Splat is disappointed. Oh, Splat sighed. I'll never win the prize for scariest cat. Seymour shook his head. Everyone placed flashlights in their jack-o'-lanterns, and Mrs. Wimpy Dimple turned down the lights and whispered in her very, very best ghost story voice. In the dark, dark wood, there's a dark, dark house. In the dark, dark house, there's a dark, dark room. And in the dark, dark room, there's a dark, dark box. And in the dark, dark box, there's a ghost! Mrs. Wimpy Dimple cried. The class jumped with fright. Splat was so startled, his tail whipped around and sent his jack-o'-lantern spinning through the air. And what goes up must come down. Splat! Where did it land? Right on his head. Unable to see anything, Splat stumbled around the classroom. Everyone shrieked as the pumpkin head glared at them and made strange hoo-hoo-hooing noises. Uh-oh. Mrs. Wimpy Dimple turned on the lights and lifted up the wayward jack-o'-lantern. The shrieking turned to laughter as Splat the cat fell out. Calm down, calm down, calm down, hushed Mrs. Wimpy Dimple. Now, class, who should win the prize for being the scariest cat? Who do you think is going to win? Do you think it's going to be Splat? Splat! They all cheered. And there's his little trophy for scariest cat. So great book, and I can make another text-to-text connection thinking about the endings. Both books ended in a very interesting way. The characters who it was the opposite of what they thought was going to happen, right? They had this plan and it didn't work out the way they wanted. So in Splat the cat, he was trying to be scary and then he wasn't scary and then he ended up being the scariest. And then the animals, or I shouldn't say animals, the creatures, at the beginning they thought they were being scary, but then when the trick-or-treater came to the door, they ended up being the ones getting scared. So both books, the characters sort of changed and they ended up being the opposite of the way they were in the beginning, okay? All right, so readers, keep working on making text-to-text connections, and I'll see you on Zoom this morning. Have a great day.